Terence Crawford outthinks, outmaneuvers, drops twice, and thoroughly frustrates Viktor Postol en route to a wide, unanimous points decision over 12 rounds to become the unified WBC and WBO light welterweight world champion. First off, I have to say this was a terrible fight. There's just no two ways about it. It was a horrible fight. The crowd booed at various points throughout the evening. It was a stalemate in most of the rounds in terms of punches thrown and landed. In the early going, I felt like Viktor Postol picked up one of the rounds. I think I gave him the third round. I gave the first two to Crawford, maybe the third to Postol. But after that, I didn't give Postol a round for the rest of the fight. The pivotal moment in the fight was, I think it was the fourth or fifth round, when Terence Crawford managed to score 2 flash knockdowns over Viktor Postol. The first knockdown was actually a shot that kind of caught, it was a kind of a coffin punch that kind of caught Viktor Postol maybe around the back of the neck. And it was right at the beginning of the round, literally the opening seconds of that round. And Postol was kind of thrown off balance by the shot. I don't think the shot was correctly delivered, and therefore you can make an argument that that wasn't actually a genuine knockdown. The other knockdown later on in the round was a genuine knockdown, and Postol was a little buzzed from the punch. It wasn't especially hurt, but it was a little buzzed, and his glove touched the canvas. So again, you have to count that. It was either his glove or his knee. I think on the first knockdown, I think it might have been his knee. The second one, his glove. I can't remember now. Who cares? Go watch it for yourself if you haven't already seen it. I mean, the knockdown is just about the only, or the 2 knockdowns are just about the only excitement you're going to see in the whole fight. It was a terrible fight. I expected this fight to be a hell of a lot more competitive than it was. I did pick Terence Crawford to win the fight on points. I didn't expect him to do it this comfortably though. But then again, I didn't expect Terence Crawford to box as negative as this. He boxed a purely counter-punching, back foot, negative fight. He fought almost like an Erislandy Lara type fight against Canelo. Total back foot, never trying to come forward unless he saw a counter-punching opportunity. Just absolute pure negativity. But Viktor Postol was so poor on his front foot, so poor at cutting off the ring, and threw so few punches that he allowed Terence Crawford to get away with boxing such a negative fight. Don't get it twisted. I know Terence Crawford has got the reflexes of a cat, and any wrong move here or there, and he's going to punish you for it. But on the back foot, he's not going to have the kind of power to be able to knock you clean out with one shot. So, particularly when you're a legitimate 140 pounder like Viktor Postol is. So I felt like he should have taken more risks. He did take a few risks in the 12th round when he was very frustrated, and he actually did land some decent shots on Crawford. He needed to do that a lot earlier in the fight. But either way, like I say, I was surprised that Crawford fought that way. I thought Crawford would fight a cautious fight against Viktor Postol, but I didn't think he would move that much. I mean, he was literally running around the ring all over the damn place. And that movement frustrated Postol. It threw him off. It didn't allow him to set himself. It confused him, actually. He was confused by the movement. He just couldn't settle mentally. And when an opponent is moving that incessantly and that frenetically, it can be mentally draining. And you just get confused. This guy's just buzzing this way, that way like a fly. And sometimes he can hypnotize you with that type of movement. And I think that's what happened to Viktor Postol. He just got hypnotized and he just couldn't break out of the spell that Terence Crawford had put him under. It was a tactically perfect fight from Terence Crawford, really. As I say, Viktor Postol was very poor in trying to counteract those tactics. But like I say, it just made for a horrible fight. A really, really dull fight. Terence Crawford is normally in exciting fights. And again, this is why I didn't expect him to be this negative. Because he is normally in exciting fights. But I guess he looked at Postol and thought, you know what? I can't even stand with this guy. because he's got the height. He's an awkward guy. He likes to counterpunch himself. Let me take Viktor Postol out of his comfort zone and make him do what he don't normally like to do, which is come forward. And I'll frustrate him. I'll try and do to him what he does to other fighters. I mean, Viktor Postol don't move that frenetically, but he does like to, stand tall, stay on the back foot, counterpunch, have you come at him and exploit your mistakes and use that height and reach that he has. And Crawford thought, you know what, I'm not going to play into that trap. He's going to be the one that's going to come forward at me. I've got the quicker feet than him. And I'm going to beat him at his own game. And that's what he did. So yeah, tactically, you can't floor Terence Crawford. You got it totally right. But from an entertainment standpoint, it was so bad. It's horrible. Lots of skill and energy to be able to do that. But oh my gosh, watching it was like watching paint dry. In fact, that might be an insult to watching paint dry. It's horrible. So is that a good advert for him to get the Pacquiao fight? I mean, that's something Bob Arum obviously wants. That's something he's been talking about even prior to this Viktor Postol fight. Terence Crawford is being built up as the next pay-per-view star for Bob Arum. I don't know how many new fans he would have made after that type of performance. Very few, I would suspect, because most people that buy these pay-per-views who haven't watched Terence Crawford before, they're not going to be necessarily Terence Crawford fans or Terence Crawford diehards. They're just going to be casuals who have heard about all the hype to do with Crawford, who have seen the promotions and stuff like that, the promotional, commercials and whatnot on television with all the highlights of Crawford's fights, which are usually pretty exciting. And they thought, yeah, I'll pay my $60 or whatever it is to check this guy out. And the same goes for the people who turned up there to watch him in Vegas. Obviously, there was a big contingent of people from Nebraska, but a lot of the people were new to Terence Crawford fights, and I think those were the guys who were booing. So, I don't know, man. From a pay-per-view standpoint, Terence Crawford needs to do something else. I mean, don't get it twisted. Floyd Mayweather has fought fights like that many a time. But Mayweather has got this situation where he takes on Latino fighters generally. That's how Floyd got to where he is. By taking on Latino fighters and upsetting the fans of that Latino fighter so much that he whips them up into a frenzy of hatred. And so when he gets in the ring, it's just, the majority of fans, it seems, in the arena are fans of the other guy. And they're just baying for Floyd's blood and egging on their guy to try and get to Floyd, and they're frustrated and screaming, come on, get him, get him, get him, but they can never get him. So it's like a psychological game that Floyd Mayweather was playing with boxing fans, and particularly Latino boxing fans, for several years. And that psychological game, even though in the ring his fights were often very boring, at welterweight at least, in the lower weights he was letting his hands go more when his hands were not as badly damaged, and it was more exciting. But at welterweight, certainly, it was pretty boring stuff most of the time. But because of the atmosphere that he created around the fight, he was able to sell pay-per-views and sell pay-per-views and sell pay-per-views off the back of people wanting to see him lose. Whereas Crawford hasn't yet created that type of atmosphere. They've tried to create an atmosphere with Crawford where he's being sold as some type of, American star, American hero, not an anti-hero like Floyd, not a villain, a pantomime villain like Floyd, but a hero. And that type of performance there against Postol, that was not a heroic performance. So maybe Terence Crawford is going to have to do a Floyd Mayweather and turn heel. Maybe he's going to have to turn heel if he really wants to be that big pay-per-view star. Either that, or he's going to have to produce a lot more fireworks next time. If he does fight Manny Pacquiao, he's going to have to go to town on Pacquiao. He can't just fight a negative fight like he did there. And it's unlikely that he would, because he does have the height and reach over Pacquiao, so maybe he'd let his hands go a little bit more. But I don't know. We'll see. You guys let me know what you felt about this fight in the comment section below. The performances of both men. Maybe you were entertained by the fight. I wasn't. I thought it was horrible. Maybe you were entertained. No. Did you expect these type of tactics from Crawford? Did you expect him to be this negative and move this much? Did you think, like me, that it would be more of a, not a shootout at all, but I thought the fight would be fought in the center of the ring more. I didn't think be Crawford, jumping around the outskirts of the ring for 12 rounds. I didn't think it would be that. So that's why I was, kind of taken aback. And I guess that's why the fight was nowhere near as competitive as I expected and nowhere near as competitive as I was hoping. Because those tactics did kind of take me aback a little bit, to be fair. I think they took Postol aback too. So, yeah, let me know how you feel in the comment section below, people. It's your boy Hatman, I'm out.